Well, I'm pretty sure everyone knows that NASCAR had a few rough years. The loss of fans, the loss of TV dollars, and the loss of sponsors. Well, no one will ever really know the reason why. Well, during the 90s or during the late 90s, they decided to go away from its roots, get away from places like North Wilkesboro, and then around 2004, they went away from Rockingham. Sure, NASCAR might have reached its peak in 2005, but what happened during the years after? Well, obviously the Great Recession back in 2008, the car of tomorrow, and in recent years, the changing of the formats. Well, I really don't know of any alternative to speak of, but I can say this. If NASCAR wants to get back to being popular again, well, the first thing you'd have to do is just go back to the old Winston Cup format, or go back to the old point system. Go back to the kind of racing that the race fans know. Hard charging, rubbing. The rubbing is racing kind of thing. Rubbing fenders, swapping paint. That's what the fans want. Well, they might have done a good job with the have at it boys scenario. But the thing is, these drivers are still too polished. And in NASCAR, if you want to regain your fans, then you got to go back to places like Rockingham or North Wilkesboro. You got to get the Cup Series back to its roots. And you've got to go back to the kind of racing that the NASCAR fan knows. Go back to the kind of racing that existed before 2016. Before the race was broken down into segments. You got to go back to the kind of racing that existed when Dale Earnhardt was still alive. The kind of racing that existed during the 90s. Well, during the 80s. That'll sure bring your sponsors back. That'll sure bring your fans back. NASCAR, it's time for a revival.